Hello and welcome to the Daily Fantasy 5. This is Wednesday, July 10th. This is episode 140, and I'm your host, Scott Grierson, as we are breaking down the 5 things you need to know every day in the world of fantasy sports. Well, today is a slow news day as there is no baseball games, no football games, no basketball games, and no hockey. There's not even any World Cup to cover. So today we will be covering another fake Westbrook deal. We're trying to get him moved. He, as of this morning at 9:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Westbrook is still a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Today, I'm going to try to deal him to Boston as we go through all of our teams that we could possibly send Russell Westbrook to. And then we're going to be continuing quarterback week here today. We'll be covering fantasy football quarterbacks 9 through 12 in today's Daily Fantasy 5. So we'll get to all that after a word from our sponsor, www.mathradio.com, where you can pick up an online math course for as little as $9.99. It helps your kids ages 7 through 17 get better grades in school. It helps them prepare for exams, and it can even help them get into college with their SAT prep courses for math. So go there today, www.mathradio.com. Spend less than $10 and be the hero of your household by helping your child do better in math. Mathradio.com. All right, everybody, let's start with my fake trade today. I like this one. So I'm sending Russell Westbrook to the Boston Celtics. So why would Boston want the Celtics? They just picked up Kemba Walker. Well, they don't really stand much of a chance of being the NBA champions this year with the team they currently have, right? They just don't have enough, star power. They're depending on the young guys. And what I think they need to do is just go all in right now. I mean, you can still retain the two young guys with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but you have a chance to actually make some noise this year. Now, I mean, it stinks having Russell Westbrook's contract on your books forever, but, it could work out. So here's my trade. I'm sending Russell Westbrook to Boston for Gordon Hayward, who still has 2 years. Well, the fourth year is a player option, or the second year in this case, at $32 million a year. So it cuts down on Westbrook's deal by about half, saving Oklahoma City a lot of money. And maybe Hayward won't want to go back there in the final year of that contract anyway. And then Yabusele to make the money work. Oklahoma City would save $2.5 million in this year. It puts them right at that point where they're under the threshold, the tax threshold. So that should work for them. And then I have Boston sending one of their own first-round draft picks, not the Memphis pick. So that would be the trade package. What would this do for Boston? Well, you'd have a starting lineup of Russell Westbrook and Kemba Walker. Now, that is going to be a small guard tandem, right? But the other players are pretty big. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and then Enes Kanter. Now, that is an explosive offensive team. I'm not sure this team would play any defense at all, but at least they would stand a chance. They would be interesting. Boston going into this year just doesn't do a lot for me. So I like a backcourt of Russell Westbrook and Kemba Walker to pair with two guys in the front court of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and then Enes Kanter can get things done on offense as well. I think that would be at least be an interesting team. And I mean, what does it really hurt for Boston? You still have your young guys. You're not giving much up in the trade. If it doesn't work out, you can always deal Westbrook again if possible. Okay, let's move on to our fantasy football quarterbacks. Today we're doing quarterbacks 9 through 12. We'll start with number 12. Let's see. So far this week we've done number 20 is Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, Dak. I always call him Zach. Anyway, Dak Prescott is number 20. Stafford is 19. Kirk Cousins is 18. Ben Roethlisberger is 17. Lamar Jackson is 16. Josh Allen, 15. Tom Brady, 14. And Phillip Rivers, my boy, number 13. Okay, at number 12, I have Carson Wentz. So there's a lot of good choices here at number 12. And this is really where, if you're in a 12-team league, these are all your first-round quarterbacks. I like Carson Wentz because I think he has a pretty decent floor. If he's healthy, he's going to be good, but his ceiling is super high. So I went with Carson Wentz. In 2017, Carson was on, a possible MVP role. He could have been the MVP before he got injured, and then, Nick Foles somehow won them a Super Bowl, which is still kind of a miracle. He looked like he was going to be the next Andrew Luck, but then we all realized that Andrew Luck is really Andrew Luck, but he could still become Andrew Luck this year. Wow, if he has some luck. I'm sorry about that pun. I apologize. He could win you a fantasy league if he goes out there and he performs. He's being drafted at QB 9. That's the 96th overall pick. It's a little bit high for my taste, but I have seen him drop, and I picked him up in a couple of my leagues. So I do like Carson Wentz. as your quarterback option. If you can get him around, pick 100, pick 105. I've seen him drop that far. I don't mind that at all. So Carson Wentz at number 12 is a fine deal in my book. Number 11, I had Jared Goff from the Los Angeles Rams. Am I too low on Jared Goff? I don't know. Maybe. But for a quarterback everybody seems to love, he averaged less than 20 fantasy points last year. He finished as the number 7 quarterback overall last year. But I'd rather have, somebody with more upside like a Jared Goff, a Jimmy Garoppolo, not Jared Goff, I'm sorry, Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield, somebody like that who can win me a league. I don't think Goff can win you a league. I think he can be okay for you. I think he can get you into the playoffs, but he's not going to go out there and put up crazy numbers. Although he's not being drafted very high. He's being drafted as the 15th overall quarterback. So, at number 120 overall, I don't mind having Jared Goff as my quarterback in that low. But then I want to pick up one of those other guys we talked about yesterday. I want to pick up your Josh Allen, your Lamar Jackson, your Murrays. I want to pick up Trubisky's. I want to have one of those other guys to pair with him so I have a little bit more upside, because I just don't think the upside is really there for Jared Goff to be, one of your top 3 quarterbacks. With those other guys, they could make it happen. So Goff at number 15, I don't really mind at all. That's where he's being taken, 120 overall in ADP and ESPN leagues. All right, number 10 is a little bit controversial for me. I have Deshaun Watson. Now, I know he finished 4th overall last year. He only had 26 passing touchdowns. He did throw only 9 interceptions with 5 rushing touchdowns, so that helps him a lot. I actually don't recall starting him at all in daily fantasy last year. He just wasn't one of my guys. I was always worried about the injuries, and I think you're going to feel the same way going into this season. So in 2018, I would expect him to have wait. In 2017, he did not have a rushing touchdown. Let me rephrase. In 2017, he had plenty of rushing touchdowns with 5. So do I expect him to keep running the ball in 2018? I do not. There have been some people who said that Deshaun Watson would end up as the number 1 quarterback this year. I think it's crazy pants. You'll see who my number 1 quarterback is on Friday, but there's no way Deshaun Watson ends up at number 1. I think the offensive line is terrible. They ended up ranked number 23 last season. I think they're actually worse than that. That was the Pro Football Focus numbers. I mean, and they put out great numbers, but just looking at the eye test, that offensive line looks horrible. Watson is running for his life. He likes to hold on to the ball. He's a small guy. I don't think he makes it through the season. That would be my biggest concern. I'd say there's at least a 50% chance that he plays 14 games or less this year. So I will not be drafting Watson. He's going way too high for me. And then finally, a guy I do like is Russell Wilson. He finished the year as number 9 last year, and he's like a younger version of Drew Brees. He runs more. Last year was the first year he had no rushing touchdowns. I expect that trend to change. It's far more likely that he'll get 3 to 5 rushing touchdowns than he will get 0. And that's a lot of extra points to add to your stable. I couldn't keep Wilson outside the top 10. I wanted to have him inside that group. And, the problem obviously with Russell Wilson is the offense in Seattle. They have a good defense and they want to run the ball constantly on offense. So it limits Russell's opportunities. If he was in a high-flying offense like the Rams or the Saints, Russell Wilson would kill it. But I still have him in my top 10. I think he has that much talent. I think the rushing touchdowns come back this year. I think Russell Wilson has a very nice year after he signed that big contract. He should have nothing to lose out there, and I like Russell Wilson. If I get him in the top 10 as a wide quarterback, I'm quite happy. Okay, so that's it for the show today. Tomorrow we'll be doing quarterbacks 5 through 8. We will bring you any more news. If Russell Westbrook is traded, I'll talk about that. If he's not traded, I'll come up with another fake trade for us to go over tomorrow. That's it for today. Thank you for watching the Daily Fantasy 5. Please check out our sponsor, www.mathradio.com. If you're listening to the podcast, which you're not because I forgot to hit that record button again, oh my gosh, I appreciate it. And if you're watching on YouTube, please leave us a comment below and click that subscribe button. See you tomorrow.